It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in. It's Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles. Well, it's just me today, Alex White. You'll see her later today, though, because on the show we have a special later in the day. 1:30 is when we will have our special of the opening lines of the college football games of the year here at the South Point. Always looking forward to that. It'll be Alex, it'll be Vinny, it'll be Chris. 1:30 here today on the desk right here on the South Point Studio. It is Friday, though. So, of course, as always, on Friday, today's show brought to you by our good friends over at footballcontest.com. If you want to enter any Vegas football contest this summer, go with the pros at footballcontest.com. Experience matters. So visit proxy.footballcontest.com and use the promo code on the screen, you see, SBTB, for a special offer from Maddie and Tony, the best in the business for all your proxy needs as we're getting even closer to the beginning of football season. Footballcontest.com, bringing you always the show here on Friday. Very happy to have it. Less than 50 days from the start of the NFL season. Less than 50 days. How about that? We almost made it. Almost made it all the way back for some NFL and college football. Getting close here on the 19th of July. Almost there. A little over a month from week 0 in college football. On the show today, we have a little capsule today. Only a half hour today. We'll see our friend Duane Colucci in a few moments. Very good, everybody. And in studio, the legendary Jimmy Vaccaro in studio with us. He'll be talking about the games of the year, talk about the process and making numbers, how big of an undertaking it is, and whatever else Jimmy wants to talk about. Whenever we have Jimmy, we always love it because we always know we're going to get one amazing story about something we may not even expect when we get Jimmy in studio coming in a few moments. 9:20, 9:15 to be exact for Jimmy. All right, let's get into today. So WNBA now officially in their All-Star break. The soccer tournaments are now done. Congratulations, Argentina and Spain, for 5 days now, champions of their confederations. But baseball returns here on the 19th of July, and we begin today. Let's just start at Wrigley Field. Let's make it easy. Cubs, first game out of the break. Day baseball on the north side. Justin Steele, Ryan Nelson, your pitching matchup for the Cubs. And the D-backs, Wrigley weather, as always. We know the impact of the number for the total. Nice 75-degree day in Chicago. No complaints whatsoever. The wind, it's really more of a, by game time, looking like a wind in. 10 miles an hour in. So that's why you got the 7.5 instead of an 8. Yeah, Justin Steele would usually produce a 7.5 anyway, one of the better pitchers in the rotation for the Chicago Cubs as it is. This is getting bet to the over on the 7.5, though. Was even money on the overnights now, minus 115, 7.5 over. Plus 130 on Arizona, minus 140 on the Cubs right now. That has been a gigantic mover, and I will say, Chris and company did a great job getting the numbers out early. We didn't know the full pitching landscape for a bunch of these teams. Wasn't expected to be Steele at first. Now it is Justin Steele, we know, and that's why it's been a 41-cent move here on the Cubbies here this afternoon. As the Cubs, again, minus 140 here at the South Point and up at the Rampart. And we're going to be getting our friend Duane Colucci in a few moments here on the show. Also, one real quick one I just want to check real quick. We won't see Paul Skeens until later this weekend for Pittsburgh. Martin Perez will go for the Pirates. Aaron Nola will go for the Phillies in that second game on your rotation numbers. Been another big mover. Again, this is going to be the theme of the day today. Minus 160 on Philly after being minus 124 on the open. So a lot of action on the Philadelphia Phillies as we go through the entire day for this baseball slate. We can bring them in. We hear them. And it's a good thing here as we get to our good friend Duane Colucci Up at the Rampart, the race and sportsbook director, there he is, our good friend Duane Colucci. Duane, good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Jeff. Sorry I missed your call last night. I don't know what was happening. I think I was crashing with the IT.
Hey, we
the Microsoft IT crash.
Duane, thankfully for us, we were on after they've started figuring things out. Bad day to be flying United and Delta, that's all I'll say, or Spirit Airlines, who are apparently doing handwritten tickets on Spirit Airlines today. So even there are a lot of jokes to be had.
Thank God
on that.
we're not handwriting tickets like the old days, Jeff. Thank God.
Yeah, see, I made a pun and I didn't even realize it. It's really good this morning. Duane, I just want to ask right out of the gate here. First day back out of the All-Star break, and really just the theme of the day here, because Chris and company and you guys did a great job of getting these numbers out early. And this can happen on a day like this, where starting pitchers get changed going out of the All-Star break. The first two games I talked about both had 30-cent moves plus. The Cubs go from an underdog to a -140 favorite now at home. The Phillies go from -124 to -160. There are a few other games like that across the board, Duane, just on a day like this where, hey, sometimes the bettors can get a little value if they got in early correctly, if they knew who was going a little bit more publicly than some might have.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. And the sharps are, that's what I'm looking at, the landscape right now in these line moves. The sharps are definitely paying attention to who's starting these games, Jeff. So that becomes all the more important factor when you see these big line moves, because you have interchanging starting pitches. And this is why we've gone away from the, base old format of listing pitchers, where you could have listed pitchers and, determine who was going to pitch. We had to go away from that because MLB has gone to such a weird format. Some of the teams don't even announce their starting pitcher until 5 minutes before warm-up. So, this definitely affects the line moves. It's affecting a lot of the games today. And we put out the lines with plenty of time ahead at the Rampart and South Point. We're able and willing to take that risk, and we enjoy it. We'll make the moves as quick as possible and try and get the best line, but you're definitely going to have a few that slip through the crack, and these sharps are going to take advantage of it. So, that's the tough part about being a bookmaker, but nobody's crying, when we make a mistake or drop the ball. You're going to see guys pounding also the games of the year today, which we are putting out for college football, which, definitely we're going to have a few of the games out of whack as according to how they're going to play out as the season goes on. But that's what the fun part about it is. And we're definitely going to please the consumer and give them every opportunity to make money.
As you mentioned, the Games of the Year special coming at 1:30 this afternoon. Alex White, Chris Andrews, Vinny Magliulo will be on set here. And those numbers are going to be public in a few hours from now for the bettors. So be on the lookout, and they'll tell you how the lines have moved. And Duane, I will tell you, I gave Chris a few of my numbers, so I hopefully didn't. We're too far off. Well, it's a good exercise for all of us too. We figure out, hey, where are power ratings? Are they somewhat right? How off are we on just throwing a team out there like the Iowa Hawkeyes? How off are we on them? How right are we on the Iowa State Cyclones? I don't know why my brain went to Iowa, but there it went.
Right.
But
what about that big Alabama-Georgia matchup,
exactly.
Down the line? You don't know what Alabama's going to bring to the table. That's definitely a team that we're focusing on this year just because of the coaching change. And like you said, Iowa comes to mind. A lot of teams come to mind. And definitely we're going to make mistakes when we're putting these up so far ahead. So, definitely the sharps and the base consumer are going to be all over us. This is the fun time of the year. We're trying to create some excitement in the lull where we just have MLB on the cusp of the Olympics, which, we'll book some of the action, but I know Chris will definitely, be focusing on these games of the year. This is his little pet. We also put up the prop there with Georgia and Ohio State for the national championship. Chris has so many different good, marketing techniques, and we share them here at the Rampart as well. And it's great to be a part of that team. And like you said, it's great to compare your power ratings as bookmakers, even as broadcasters like yourself. It's a great time of the year. And Chris definitely has a broad mind, so he's going to take everybody's opinion into consideration and use his professionalism with Vinny, with Jimmy, all those guys, and make the best lines we possibly can at the South Point and the Rampart.
Well, I just want to ask you here, Duane, real quick. Just the transfer portal obviously is a whole new ball game. These teams change over every single year. And you mentioned the prop where it feels like everyone has. Oh, excuse me. I was about to sneeze. Ohio State or Georgia.
Wow. Salud.
A premature salud there. Ohio State or Georgia, number one and number two. And really, look, the bettors have had fun with that prop so far, where Chris and company and up at your shop all opened a flip with Ohio State and Georgia against the field minus 110, Ohio State or Georgia minus 110. The bettors took Georgia and Ohio State first, and then they took the field. So that's just the exhibition of a good prop there, Duane.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we're looking for, Jeff. We're looking to balance the books and do what we can. We don't want to get plied with money on one side. That's never a good feeling, because then you definitely have a massive opinion. So, yeah, it's good to see that they started with Ohio State and Georgia, came back down to earth. It's a fun prop. We got those jackpot cards out, too, for NFL Week 1. Don't forget about them, with that huge grand prize and pool, and anything that goes over the 20, we put into the pot. So, it's just a great feeling. Chris does a great job, and we're looking forward to the games of the year, as well as the baseball slate returning. We definitely enjoy baseball now at this part of the season. It becomes a dogfight. You go to the second half, and we see who is the cream of the crop, who is going to be able to make the playoffs, and then we could start formulating futures on those and some fun propositions there. So, it's an exciting time. And today is one of the focal days at the Rampart and South Point, where we do put up those games of the year, and we have a lot of fun with it. So great job by Chris and the boys and the girls over there at South Point, and just great to be a part of that affiliation. And you see, come on down. The Rampart is going to have on their mobile app, as well as at the window, same limits, same exact odds that Chris offers at the South Point up here in Summerlin. So we're catering to both sides of Las Vegas and this great city that we're a part of.
Duane, going back to baseball today, really to me the biggest series out of the All-Star break involves the Dodgers and the Red Sox. Boston, who finished the first half with a flourish, currently in control of that final wild card in the American League, and actually a little bit closer to the Yankees than you would have expected at this point. Not a heavily bet game in comparison to some others. An 8-cent move, which is pretty tame with some of the other moves we've seen today, Stone and Pivetta. But I'll just ask you, we've talked about the Dodgers. They've dealt with injuries. They're still the second best team in the NL. But how much are you buying the Red Sox from a scenario here where they had a lower win total? They're a popular bet under. And here they are in control of that third wild card, more than double-digit games over 500 right now.
Yeah, definitely overperforming and outperforming some of the competition in that division. Definitely the Yankee losing streak helped them there, where the Yankees couldn't find a win, losing about 15 out of 20, maybe even more. But the Yankees started to rectify. They started to play a little better. So I still believe that Baltimore and the Yankees are better than the Red Sox. But guys like Pivetta, who's starting tonight, they have to step it up a little more. You got to win these road games, and it's going to be tough going to the West Coast. Dodgers have not been playing well. They stumbled going into the All-Star break. That bullpen is catastrophical, and they definitely need, Mookie Betts to return. Kershaw, we're seeing him warm up. You don't know what he could bring to the table, but that bullpen is definitely the question. Stone has been a bright, pleasant side. Buehler, this guy, the injury was big, so you definitely know it's taking its toll. But the Dodgers have to get marquee starting pitching, good middle relief, and bullpen, because their lineup is fabulous. We know that. They're going to put some runs up on the board. Lost a tough one there the other day when Freeman bounced into the double play when they had the chance to win. Detroit was getting the better of them because of the bullpen and losing in those extra innings and those late inning situations. Dodgers have to rectify that. Red Sox, they could make the wild card, but I definitely think the division leaders, Jeff, are better on the American League side. We're going to see if Cleveland could keep, rising to the top. Seattle is right there. Houston, these teams definitely are hungry. And the wild card, definitely the Red Sox are right there. They're more than double digits, over 500, like you said. But they have to improve on that run differential, and they definitely have to improve with some of their mediocre starting pitching. It has to rise, and it definitely can. Don't get me wrong. They're a well-managed team, but with that Yankee lineup, if some of those guys start to get healthy, I still believe the Yankees and the young kids over at Baltimore, they're a little better than what the Red Sox bring. That's why we had the lower win total this year, but they're probably going to get that on the over side. So, it shows how us bookmakers sometimes are wrong, and baseball is 162 games, so anything could happen. If Judge goes down, then the Yankees come back down to earth, and the Red Sox could easily slide into the second, position in that division. So let's keep an eye on it. They're real close to the Yankees. Yankees are just an injury away. If Cole goes back down, some of these pitchers, they've been having so much trouble, in that stretch where they were losing games. It was about a 30-game stretch, Jeff. So It's important. The AL East is a phenomenally talented division, and we're going to see how it plays out. Very exciting.
Yankees 3.5 games clear of the Red Sox. Red Sox actually only a half game behind Minnesota, who has been a popular team brought up this week on this show as an under-the-radar future pick potentially. All right, Duane, one last one before we let you go today, because the legendary Jimmy Vaccaro is going to be joining us in a few moments. The legend himself. I just want to ask, because, of course, Chris and company put up the conference championship futures for the Power Four in the Mountain West last week here at the South Point. Of course, all the numbers here at the South Point available at the Rampart, as Duane has said on the show, as always. Has there been anyone who's come in and really hit any of those numbers up at your shop, or is it just going to be, hey, those games of the year are really going to be the opening salvo, and then other markets will start getting hit in college football?
Well, you definitely get some sharp action, on those conferences, without a doubt, and it was fun. I saw you down at Allegiant. You want to get a vibe of what teams could definitely get a feel, and it's important to listen to what the coaches say. It's important to look at these rosters, see if any of these kids are having any academic trouble or off the field trouble. So you have these sharps that are going to come in, and definitely they're the people that attack us when we put up these conference leaders. You definitely have some Utah action, Georgia, Ohio State, they're kind of favorites, but you have your Alabama fans come in as well. They are more of a volume team where you have not just sharp action, but people that want to bet on them as well. And you have your West Coast action as well. Some of the West Coast teams are popular here at the Rampart and South Point. There was nothing that, at my shop that really moved the measuring stick to where I would say, wow, unbelievable. We know who the top 5 teams are. We know how these conferences play out, and we're going to see, barring injury, if we are correct as bookmakers, but nothing that really jumped off the charts there, Jeff, but a steady flow. And definitely we did have some great handle at the South Point and the Rampart on these conferences. And today is definitely going to be a focal day. I know my shops are ready. They're already in the room and they're chomping at the bit.
Duane Colucci, everyone, the race and sportsbook director up at the Rampart. You see him on Fridays continually here on the show. Duane, pleasure as always. Thanks for being with us.
Jeff, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on Sports by the Book.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to have you. NY Bookie Duane on the tweets as well. All right, we'll take a quick break. Jimmy Vaccaro in studio when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Have you always wanted to enter the biggest and best football contest in Las Vegas, but didn't know where to start and who to trust? Look no further than footballcontest.com to get the info you need to succeed, including breakdowns of the most popular and highest-paying football contests in the world, such as the Westgate Super Contest, Circa Sports Million, and Circa Survivor. Plus, find out how you can reserve the most trusted proxy in the business right now at footballcontest.com, as Maddie and Tony have been leading the way for over a decade with more than $10 million in winners during that time frame. All you need to do is find a way to get to Vegas sometime this summer and sign up for these football contests in person. Then let Maddie and Tony do the rest. They will submit your picks for you and help you focus on doing what you do best, picking winners. Don't miss out on the action this upcoming football season. Experience matters. So go with the pros at footballcontest.com. That's footballcontest.com.
From the South Point studio. The perfect blend of sports.
But I think the Niners are going to wear them down. Detroit Pistons lost their 36 games.
Comedy.
See over-under on that relationship lasting. I'm going to put mayo in the coffee.
Yeah.
I am beautiful.
And a whole lot of Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. Yeah. Pittsburgh.
Join Ryan McCormick.
That's at least 2 picks outside of our own in the first round next year. Oreo.
And host Frank Nicotero.
And I look at the clock, I go,
Watch Punchlines live at noon every weekday.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Shortened show for us today because Gone Racing with Brendan Gaughan and Jeff Motley coming your way at 10 o'clock. 5 shows in the studio today. 5. That's a record since the South Point Studio moniker has existed, right? 5 in one day? Yeah. So this show, Gone Racing, Race Day Las Vegas was, of course, before us. Punchlines with Frank Nicotero, and then Sports by the Book special, Games of the Year in college football available here at the South Point today. And now joining us, our good friend, the one and only Jimmy Vaccaro with us right now. Jimmy, good morning.
I accept this award on behalf of anybody who had the luck to be around me all these years, but I didn't get paid yet.
Oh.
All right, let's have some fun. Let me tell you today a little bit about something. Obviously, we talked about the games of the year. Now, what I wanted to really get into is show you how this thing got here.
Okay.
Remember, 40-some years ago when I started it, like a lot of other people in town who were bookmakers, we did nothing like this. But like any business that you have, you got to keep adding on. You got to keep finding things that people enjoy being a part of and bet a little bit of their money. Like here, this with the football games of the years, that was never done until probably 10 or 15 years ago. So all the other times, it was just like you had wasted time. But you had to do something. The future book to win the World Series, the future book to win the Super Bowl, all those things were added. And remember, it wouldn't have happened because like any business, you must keep creating things. I'll give you a little idea of what it's like in people, whatever. Not that it really matters that we lose our money, whatever. You're just a consumer. You're a person who wants to be a part of it. Do you know just the TVs for the NFL games that we put up on the board there?
Okay.
I think we're up to $93,000 a year is what we got to pay the NFL to show the games. Now, remember, that was $25,000 about 15 years ago, but everything keeps going up. But then what you also throw in with that is basically, okay, the NFL was the first one to, make us pay. Or, we still can't use the word Super Bowl, for whatever reason that they have. But once that we started that with the Super Bowl, then here comes here comes the baseball. They want paid. Here comes hockey. They want paid. So you have to keep adjusting. Now, don't feel sorry for the sports books. But our average hold is about 6% of what we take in. So you have to run it like a business. And the other thing is although it's not on me, it's on Chris. There's a meeting every Tuesday that Chris has to go to, and they talk about the upcoming thing with the big shots on what we're going to do. So I just want to tell you that the racket is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. How big it can go, I still say that we still have some time to fill in. Now, but there's been other people who've obviously come in, from out of the country who are setting up shop here also. So there's a little competition that's what we have to fight for. So, I'll ask you.
Yeah.
When you saw stuff like this, when did you first see stuff like with the future book that you remembered because either you bet on them or you wanted to talk about them or whatever?
Just a regular future book. So I'm only 31, so
Okay.
I'm still pretty young.
Yes, you are.
So if first like being aware of what of a future book was, so when we came as a family on vacation,
Okay.
when I was pretty young, probably 10 years old, and I know my dad made a future bet on the New Jersey Nets. We're
There you
dating
go.
ourselves there.
All right.
Now, that was when they made their 2 finals in a row to win the NBA championship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first time that I ever heard of it. I wasn't aware of what numbers were or whatever with that. Then, of course, is go through college and that. So college age would be more aware of everything.
Well, see, to me, you just showed me like what it's like of what we talked about for years. You came here and your dad bet $50 on the Nets or whatever it was. He was here, and like now that ticket was good to root for the entire year.
Of course.
So when you see
We came in August, so it was
there
before
you
the
go.
season.
I mean,
So,
like
yeah.
we do probably. It's hard to say exactly how much is like locals, how much is like future book, how much is a lot of things. But what you'll see is like when it starts to really catch on is like anytime you get the general public involved, you've gotten to the first step. You know, obviously there's going to be guys that a little. I won't use the word smarter than us, but like they do their homework also. And what they'll usually play is like you'll get more future on the teams, and then I've always said this, and most other people, including Chris, would probably say like, listen, they look to bet the favorites early because they can take the dogs late after move 3 or 4 points.
Right.
So you got all kind of things. So you're obviously always paying attention to what the hell is going on. So, but the local thing with your dad, and you can only imagine before Arizona chimed in when they can bet there in California. California would be the only place that would hurt a little bit because California.
They're ways off still.
But you know what people do? They come and you sign up for the phones, and then you go back to California where you live, and then Sunday morning you drive over the line in Baker. Then you can make your bets there. So that's pretty neat. I enjoyed that. So again, getting to the point where when I was a kid, it was the gold sheet. That was the only thing that like had anything there. Now and today, like we got our book coming out here, right. We got all kind of stuff coming out, whatever. But like it has to start somewhere. So like I said, with me, I could say that in the terms of like I was here when it really started to change where everybody got involved. Once again, with the future book, there used to be, let's go back 40 years, like between after the NBA and whatever. I mean, even though we didn't have any business this year with it, it's just like we need business every week. I'm going to say this with you. I'm going to have a bet with you.
Go ahead.
The bet is like for years and years and years. I mean, college football is catching up to the NFL because, and now with these new conferences, I mean, look at some of these matchups.
So I'm happy you brought that up.
Okay.
Because going through everything and just going through conferences as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to take the Southeastern Conference for a second, which is now 16 teams deep with Texas and Oklahoma moving to the league.
Right.
There are teams that if you put them in basically every other conference but the Big Ten, I think they would win the league.
Mm-hmm.
These giant leagues, the Big Ten, the SEC especially, and I'll even throw the Big 12 in there because I think there's maybe not a national title contender, but teams that are just solid 9, potentially 10-win teams. I know people were concerned about the NIL, concerned about the transfer portal, because this is as strong as I can remember college football going into a year.
Right.
And also now just looking through, like, I know all the games of the year are going to be coming out here today. We're going to have the show later in the day as well, Jimmy. It is amazing just like, whoa, a lot of these, there are so many good teams this year, which is going to make for an incredible betting season, which I think was where you're going, that the handle for college football.
Goodness.
I mean, nothing will ever surpass the NFL because it's still the NFL, but it's going to get pretty darn close,
You're
Jimmy.
Right. I'll give you like one time, like where it wasn't a happy ending. That's for sure. When we were at the Barbary Coast and we had the sports book up, but it wasn't like, you had every game on television.
Right.
So here it is. Nebraska's playing Oklahoma.
Right.
I mean, everybody in the world.
Everyone in the world wants to watch that game.
Hey, Jimmy, what time's the game on? Hey, Jimmy, put it on this TV. Now, it come time to hit the button. We're over there, Nebraska, Oklahoma, whatever. And here comes North Texas State and Albuquerque U.
Here we go.
wait a minute, because in those days they used to cut the main game off if it didn't,
Well, it
go
wasn't
to the
geographical,
area.
yeah.
Whatever. So they were screaming at me like I was the one who took the game down. We weren't going to let you bet Nebraska, Oklahoma. Those days are gone. I mean, and you can see now from what obviously the strength also is at 9:00 in our time on Saturday morning, bang, there was usually 2 or 3 good ones. And then you have your every 2.5 hour, here comes another 6 or 7. Then now it's 12:30, 1 o'clock, and now they're 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock. And then nobody goes home until USC is done, when they're the 7:30 or 8 o'clock game that starts. But you have to nurture it. You have to understand it. You have to be fair with what you're doing because obviously that's your audience, the biggest audience. Now, the smart guys, what you consider smart guys, yeah, they are. I mean, they can beat you on a number. They understand the whole rack of what it is. But you can cut them down just a little bit also. So you can absolutely. So like I said, with you young men at 31 years old, I got socks that are older than that.
Oh, I know. And look, it just everything in this space, and of course, obviously, the overturn by the Supreme Court of Password really was what ignited this. And,
right.
And it's amazing what this has turned into. Again, you guys are doing a great job today getting those games the year out, and also helps you guys to get those games out as well to see how your power ratings are compared to the sharp bettors that are going to come bet you today.
It's harder for us with the college because obviously the college can change a lot of names from one year to the next. Even though the NFL, but now you still know if there's no Aaron Rodgers in it, you're like a 6-point difference. So you understand it. So let me give you another one.
Yep.
College basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Never used to start until the 5th of January. Now we're playing in November.
Playing in October sometimes.
Yeah,
now.
October every now and then also.
Yeah.
So, but that has really, really boosted. And we all know this too. The first 4 days of the madness.
Still my favorite 4 days
Me
of the
too.
whole year.
I enjoy that. And you know what? That does write more than the Super Bowl. But you have the 4 days. But people, I remember way back when I was running the MGM, and we're there, and the games were over, and one of the guys come up who was a good player, and I knew him very well, and he came in. He said, "Jimmy," he says, "how do I make a reservation for a room for next year?"
Yeah.
So I just oh yeah. So he called me about a month later. So I went over to the lady who was our marketing director. I said, "Listen, there's this little thing called the March Madness." I says, "and I think you can get a lot of people who come in because of that 4 days."
Oh, 100%.
Okay, Jimmy, we'll put it over here and we'll go back to it in January, February, whatever. It was a sellout the first year. So we knew we had something good there. Don't be, from our side again, like with Chris, and Chris understands the racket, and Vinny does too, as well as anybody, but you have to understand what you're going into. You can't be mad if you get it in your behind every now and then. You have to just bounce up and do it. Like I said, from what I saw to where it is, and here's the big thing. Where's it going?
Right.
That's very important also. And your show is as good as it gets.
We appreciate it.
And it really, really is. Now, where do we go? Naturally, we're every day with Chris and everybody we're trying to get more markets too. Because obviously I'm convinced, when I go back to Pittsburgh to spend I don't think I'm going to make it this year. It's too late. But the first thing that people bring up to me is Jimmy, I like the shows. I like this, how come, how can we get more of it? And I try to explain because I don't know too much about that stuff, but it's a new ball game. So get ready, kid. You ain't seen nothing yet.
I have one more question before we get out of here today, because I know in the past you've talked about this. We obviously have a presidential election coming up in the fall.
Right.
You've talked about if we've ever were able to bet on the election, it would be forget the Super Bowl, forget the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
It would be the biggest bet thing ever. We see now in Canada,
yes,
at least that you can bet the U.S. presidential election in Canada.
Wow.
We know the Euros always break records. I'll just ask you: do you think we'll ever reach that point?
No,
never. Right?
Until the older generation, like the guys who are my age, like are in the senators and this and that, when they're over here and gone, and then obviously you can, but it won't be until that time, and because they don't understand it. First of all, why wouldn't you do it? Every other country in the world does it. And
help your voter
and the
turn
$1 billion and the $1 billion you would get. Now you could maybe put it on a good thing. Do you need money at? Yeah. And that they run it by me. When I did it a couple of years ago, I put it up for entertainment purposes only. You cannot believe how many phone calls we got. You cannot believe how many people stopped in. Yeah. It was incredible. So I would love to see it. But we'll see. So
We'll see.
All right, I'm
Jimmy-
done. I'll see you the rest of the day.
Yes.
I'll see you, Big Back.
Yes, absolutely. Jimmy Vaccaro, everyone. We're done here today for this version of Sports by the Book because you got Gone Racing coming your way in 25 minutes from now. Later in the day at 1:30, I'm going to work a little chronologically oddly here, but it's okay. 1:30, Alex White, Vinny Magliulo, Chris Andrews going to be on this desk with the South Point College Football Games of the Year special, Sports by the Book special at 1:30. And we'll hear from Ryan McCormick right now because at noon, Punchlines is back as always. Frank Nicotero, you, yourself, Ryan, and Alex White will be there today.
Yeah. So Alex is pulling a double duty on Punchlines at noon, and then doing the special where Chris, Vinny, Alex go over their games of the year and their ratings for that kind of stuff. So if you want a lot of Alex, you can watch both shows. But on Punchlines today, we got a special guest for episode 199 in Brooks Gate, one of the guys that is
a staple.
Yeah, a staple to our show, but very popular on Twitter for putting out baseball stats and all kinds of fun information on Twitter. So we'll get to pick his brain a little bit, see how he comes up with things, and some special content to get him to talk about his own stuff. So also looking at stuff in the WNBA with them being on the All-Star break, and obviously a bunch of other fun stuff on Punchlines. So come by at noon.
Also, Ryan, 200's Monday.
200 is Monday.
It's a shame. I'll be unable to attend. I can't wait to see what carnage Frank decides to do for 200 for Punchlines.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
you
it
have
too.
to keep him in line at least a little bit, not a ton. One other note on noon for Punchlines, of course. One other note actually on a Games of the Year show here today at 1:30. We'll also hear from professional sports bettor, one of the best there is in college football handicapping, Paul Stone, will join the show as well. Again, Alex, Vinny, Chris, 1:30 after Punchlines today here on the South Point Studios channel. Alex is here tomorrow at 9 in the morning as well. It'll be her and Kenny White, Family Matters, on the show tomorrow morning. I won't be here tomorrow. So apologies if you're looking for me. You'll see me again on Tuesday with Alex on the show. Good luck on all your plays this weekend, everyone, and make sure you stay tuned for a full day of content here at the South Point Studio. This has been Sports by the Book.